The David Pakman Show at davidpakman.com.
Welcome to the show. It's the week of the Democratic National Convention. We'll check in a little bit later into Charlotte, North Carolina, see what's going on there. We're also, because it's DNC week, Lewis, at davidpakman.com/DNC, we're giving away free David Pakman Show t-shirts, your choice of size, your choice of color. We have men's and women's available, unisex as well, to be politically correct. I don't know which of the two that is, but certainly it could be either, I guess.
Yeah, why not?
davidpakman.com/DNC, going on during DNC week, free David Pakman Show t-shirt with a yearly membership, so check that out. Before we get to the DNC, though, let's kind of just sum up what happened at the Republican National Convention. On Thursday, after our last show, we had this incredible, absurd speech from Clint Eastwood, and he kind of went up there, and it was this rambling, kind of very strange speech that went nowhere. He was talking to an empty chair, which was supposed to represent President Obama in some way. And it's funny because as ridiculous as it was kind of representative of what the Republican Party has been doing the entire term to President Obama, which is in the same way that Clint Eastwood was talking to a President Obama that wasn't there. The entire Republican criticism of Barack Obama for the last 3 years has been based on stuff that either didn't happen or has no connection to anything President Obama did at all. So in that sense, Clint Eastwood made a very valid point, except it's probably not one that the RNC wanted made.
Yeah, and not only just criticism of Barack Obama. I mean, that's par for the course, but complete obstruction of any legislation and of the process and of anything Obama wanted to do. Just, I mean, that's the worst part. Even
though the PR narrative about the Eastwood speech is that it was great, it got cut from the Romney RNC video. There's a number of videos that the Romney campaign has put out kind of summing up or kind of like compilations of what happened there. No sign of Clint Eastwood at all. So clearly people, even though they're publicly saying it was great, it's really not that good.
Right.
And they seem to know that.
It was odd.
Odd to say the least.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, Thomas Friedman said something fascinating about Mitt Romney's speech. Mitt Romney talked in a speech about Neil Armstrong, the great American hero, astronaut, so on and so forth. And Thomas Friedman said, what was it on Meet the Press, Natan?
Yeah, it was on Meet the Press on Sunday.
On Meet the Press yesterday, Thomas Friedman saying, you know, it's fascinating because Mitt Romney calls Neil Armstrong a hero, but he's a guy who was employed by NASA, and previously he was in the military, so basically employed by the government exclusively for a huge part of his life. Space exploration, including him being the first man on the moon, one of the first men on the moon, was the direct result of government spending along the lines that Mitt Romney and his party wouldn't do. They just wouldn't do it. I mean, the space exploration project was a huge stimulus-type government spending project. Neil Armstrong a hero, Mitt Romney acknowledging that, not realizing the irony that if it were a Republican president, a modern Republican president, never would have happened.
And I would argue that the vast majority of people voting for Mitt Romney also would not realize that irony.
No, they wouldn't.
And they probably just love the fact that he mentioned,
of course,
Mr. Armstrong.
You know what he didn't mention?
What?
Afghanistan. Oh. Incredible that a Republican candidate, of course, as you know, ladies and gentlemen, Democrats don't like the troops and they don't support the troops. Republicans do. Democrats don't care about preventing terrorism or the safety of Americans. Republicans do. Incredible, given all that he doesn't even mention Afghanistan. And you would think that he would at least somewhat be able to frame it as Obama's war, right? Obama deciding to escalate troop activity there initially when he first took office. Just not a mention of it from Mitt Romney. Incredible. How is he? People are dying over there. Troops are dying over there. Mitt Romney doesn't mention it? I don't understand.
I can understand him not mentioning that.
Why do you think he didn't?
I think that's just a topic you want to avoid completely.
What do you think about that, Natan?
Yeah, from the point of view of the campaign, maybe it makes sense not to mention it. From the point of view of leveling with the American people, it probably makes sense to talk about it because it's a huge issue.
Why would you think that Mitt Romney or the Republicans want to level with the American people? If they did, they'd have to actually say, look at all the things President Obama has done. Who's the last president who has accomplished as many significant things as President Obama has? They're not going to level with the American people. They'll lose if they level with the American people, Lewis.
Yeah, I think the campaign just doesn't want the American people to associate the war at all with the campaign or the Republican Party at the moment.
They're riding the economy wave. They just want to talk about jobs and the economy. But of course, they're not leveling there either because they won't tell you the truth about Obama job creation.
Right.
and also not mention George W. Bush. Bill Clinton speaking at this week's Democratic National Convention, I think one of the few primetime allusions to George W. Bush was Jeb Bush mentioning his brother. He didn't even mention him by name, did he, Natan?
No, I saw the speech, and he said, my brother, pause, I love my brother. But he didn't even say my brother was a good president. He just said, I love my brother. Like he's apologizing for
That
him.
really tells you something about what we have to look forward to if it's President Obama with a second term or Mitt Romney getting a term. Not even a mention, of course. Forget about George Bush being at the convention. That would be a disaster for Republicans.
Oh, yeah.
Don't even mention him, though.
It's amazing the things Mitt has to distance himself from.
The response to Mitt's speech was tepid. So whatever it is, our analysis, whatever analysis you believe, Republicans understandably, expectedly said that Romney's speech made them more likely to vote for Romney. How much more likely could that get? They're going to vote for Romney no matter what.
Why else would they be there?
Why else would they be there? Now, Democrats predictably said the convention and Romney's speech made them less likely to vote for Romney. Now, let's look at independents, which are a key group. They said that they were basically split. 36% saying that the convention made them more likely to vote for Romney. 33% saying that they are less likely to vote for Romney. 30% said they just don't know, or that the convention made no difference at all. Now, let's start taking the electorate. Swing states only. Independent voters in swing states. Undecided independent voters in swing states. And now, among those undecided independent voters in swing states, only 3 additional percentage points say they are more likely to vote for Romney than less based on the convention. That's not good, ladies and gentlemen. Whatever national polls you're seeing now saying Romney 44 to 40 or 48 to 44, whatever it is, Lewis, this is at 3-4 days post-convention, one of the smallest convention bounces in history that we are seeing for Mitt Romney here.
Yeah, I think there's also something to be said about the order in which the conventions take place.
I agree. I always think whoever goes second has an advantage.
That's the freshest in your mind, and that's the one that's going to leave the impression on you closest to Election Day.
However, I think polling experts, Natan, would say that once you get more than 10 days past both conventions, it kind of doesn't matter what order they go in. Most of the effect is gone.
That's true. Although this time, because there's an incumbent president running for office, namely Obama, I think it's a little different, and I think it's going to be better for Obama because now he's had all of these accusations hurled on him by the RNC. And now if he defends them well, that's going to be the main narrative until Election Day. It's going to be Obama has a clear set of accomplishments, and this is what it is, and they laid it out in the convention.
The last word, so to speak, right, Lewis?
Yeah, I think so.
Arizona Governor Jan Brewer, she was at the Republican National Convention. We've talked about how she seems to be completely out of her mind, and we've questioned actually her mental stability. More evidence that it's legitimate to question exactly what's going on in Jan Brewer's mind. Now, I don't know if you think that this was just a verbal mistake or if it's a Freudian slip where deep down she really wants President Obama to win. She actually says that she endorses President Obama. She said this from the floor of the Republican National Convention. I kid you not. Should we listen, Lewis?
Yeah, let's.
Let's take a listen.
Govern, and I know that if President Obama is elected in November, which I hope that he is, then he will be able to come together with all of us and come up with a solution, and I believe he will secure our borders, and therefore we can resolve all those other issues as a simple matter.
Now, what's funny about this is that even if you believe that she meant to say President Obama, what she's saying is ridiculous. It's these kind of cookie-cutter statements about securing our borders and more nonsense. I really do question whether Jan Brewer is really competent to be governor.
There's something very wrong with Jan Brewer.
She doesn't seem to be all there.
Yeah, it could very well be mental illness.
A ringing endorsement for President Obama.
Wow.
You know what would be really funny? If the Obama campaign came out and formally distanced themselves and rejected Jan Brewer's endorsement, to actually call attention to it in kind of a funny way, say, we are officially declining Arizona Republican Governor Jan Brewer's endorsement of President Obama's candidacy because of what she's done with SB 1070 and the fact that she seems to be completely out of her gourd.
That would be great. Never going to happen, though.
Work it into an ad, maybe.
Yeah.
There's an RNC delegate named Mark Harris who, while he was down in Florida, he decided to go with his wife Irene to Epcot. You've been to Epcot, Lewis.
A long time ago, yeah.
Right. He was outraged that there was a Mexican working at Epcot. You can't make this stuff up. He wrote.
Hasn't spent much time in Florida, has he?
Irene Harris wrote on their blog. They have a couple's blog called Rockstar GOP Grassroots Activism Awareness, and there's a post entitled "Offended at Epcot," and in it she wrote, "Prior to the RNC, we visited Disney for 3 days. During our time at Epcot, we visited the different countries. It was neat seeing each country and the employees that were from that country. Then we visited America. One would think you would find American employees. We were offended to find a person from Mexico working in America. Mark spoke up and told them that he was highly offended after visiting the other countries and seeing employees from those countries. He was civil, very civil, but his point was made." So then Snyder County Commissioner Joe Dirk said to the Daily Item, "The statements made by Mark and Irene Harris are uninformed and highly offensive. They show ignorance as they cast judgment on people they don't know. They don't speak for our county or the Republican Party." 2 points on this. Number one, the Harrises seem to not realize that people who look like what they perceive to be, quote, Mexican, oftentimes are born in the U.S. every day.
And are legal U.S. citizens.
And number two, America is a continent made up of several countries, including Mexico, Canada, and the United States. Were they visiting the United States part of Epcot? Were they visiting the America part? Because actually, if this was a Mexican-born individual and it was America, they're in the right place.
They're
right?
still American.
They're still American.
Right.
Yeah. And in fact, there's also North America, Central America, South America. So we seem to have some language issues and some vocabulary and terms definition problems. And then we also seem to have also typical bigotry, which we also see in xenophobia.
Yeah, I think people just strangely don't know the difference between North America and America.
Right.
And it's quite humorous. I know you have had many instances of people claiming that you are not American.
Right, of course, because I'm from Argentina, which
Right.
is in what continent is that?
I believe it's America.
Right, exactly.
South America?
Hey, imagine the shock and dismay on the faces of Native Americans when they visit Epcot's America. What are all these white people doing here? They must really be confused about what's going on.
Seriously.
Ryan's convention speech. Paul Ryan's convention speech drew fewer viewers than Sarah Palin's 4 years ago. That can't be good. He is, of course, the vice presidential nominee. He drew Sarah Palin drew 37.2 million, okay, and Paul Ryan only 21.9 million, about 16 million less people caring to tune in to see what Paul Ryan said instead of Sarah Palin. Now, you would think that with less nights, because of the storm-shortened Republican National Convention, it would have compressed the viewership into those fewer nights. So it's particularly interesting that still Sarah Palin's speech, a complete political unknown, no hubbub around her at that time compared to Paul Ryan, this big deal being made. 50 million more people cared about what Sarah Palin said.
Well, you have to factor in the comedic aspect of Sarah Palin's speeches.
Well, that's the thing. Was it that it was a sideshow of some sorts to see Sarah Palin? Is it indicative of some kind of enthusiasm problem behind the more broad Romney-Ryan ticket? I don't know.
Ryan's pretty dull.
He's dull and he's incompetent and he is a pathological liar, as we'll talk about on today's bonus show, just flat out making up that he ran a marathon in under 3 hours. I do need to make my book recommendation, Lewis, if I will.
Okay, please.
Today's book recommendation, as all of them, made possible by A Fashion of Bastards, Joanna Louise Johnson's best-selling satire involving the bizarre world of Washington's power players and their misuse of America's most precious natural resources. You can get that at Amazon.com. I want to recommend today, Lewis, Passage of Arms by Eric Ambler. I actually stumbled across Eric Ambler by reading that some of my favorite authors, including Jean Le Carré and Robert Ludlum and so many others, were heavily influenced by Eric Ambler. So I just randomly picked a couple of Eric Ambler books and read them, quickly becoming one of my favorite authors in that genre. The theme of the books always seems to be someone who's completely over their head gets involved in some kind of criminal enterprise or investigative issue. And Passage of Arms, fascinating book. It's a pretty quick read. They're all around 200 pages, and you really go through them very quickly. So I very strongly recommend Passage of Arms by Eric Ambler.
Is that like when you got involved with the Argentinian mafia?
It's similar, except that this is fake, and that was all too real. You know.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Let's take a break. DavidPakman.com/DNC, giving away a free T-shirt with a yearly membership. We'll be back after this. We'll check in Charlotte, North Carolina at the DNC and talk about Joe Biden kissing a random woman on the lips. Very, very strange stuff, Lewis. We'll see if it's ever happened to you while bartending. Stay tuned.
The David Pakman Show at DavidPakman.com. Welcome back to the David Pakman Show.
Let's say hi to a new David Pakman Show member, of course made possible by liberalbias.com. In a free society, people would get to vote on which facts were true. Unfortunately, Lewis, we live in a society where facts suffer, as we often point out on this show, from liberal bias. You can find out more at liberalbias.com. Want to say hi to Barbara Traylor. Barbara Traylor, great to have her aboard, and an incredible woman, I think is fair to say.
As is any female member of the show.
And male, incredibly.
Yeah. It's one big, amazing, incredible family.
So thanks, Barbara, and all other David Pakman Show members. During DNC week, you can get a free David Pakman Show t-shirt with your yearly membership by going to davidpakman.com/DNC. Check that out. Joe Biden upping the ante a little bit by starting to kiss women on the mouth at campaign events. This is a strange story.
This is a big effing deal.
This is a huge deal, Lewis. You're absolutely right. Biden stopped at Antone's Italian Grill, which is a swankier than average food booth. He posed for a few photos with food in his hand before passing it off to an aide. He kept on greeting fairgoers, including a little boy with a dark blonde buzz cut, saying, "I used to have hair like that. Look what happened." Then one woman, who was identified as Bev Kalmer of Poland, Ohio, told the vice president, "Welcome to Ohio." And he said, "I've been waiting all day to be here." And then she said, "You got to keep the chair," referencing, of course, the Clint Eastwood incident at the RNC. And loving that comment, Joe Biden just kissed her on the lips, and apparently she really liked it.
What a swell guy.
Yeah, it's why not?
Nice gesture.
Just go out there and start kissing women on the lips.
At least he didn't kiss George Bush.
It would be better if I think it would be interesting if President Obama and Biden just did a kiss on the cheek, the way it's very common in European and South American countries when they hand off when one introduces the other, instead of just a handshake, maybe just a kiss on the cheek. I wonder what would
Are we
that
going to do double cheek or just one cheek?
Just one. It's not Spain.
Come on.
And I wonder what that would do to the Republicans. Of course, it would mean that both the president and the vice president are gay.
Part of the homosexual mafia and agenda.
Yeah, the homosexual agenda which pervades society.
Yep.
All right, let's check in with Luke Vargas down in Charlotte, of course, one of our correspondents at the Democratic National Convention. Let's see what he had to say. I spoke to him just a few minutes ago before the start of the show. Luke Vargas, our correspondent on the ground at the conventions from Talk Radio News Service, is joining us from Charlotte, North Carolina today. Made the trip over from Tampa last week. It seems like it's a vastly different situation over there, Luke. I mean, what are you noticing?
The city feels different. The people are very different. The cuisine is different. But inside the arena, there also are a lot of changes that you'll see from Tampa. If viewers who are watching on television would remember that when Mitt Romney was introduced by Marco Rubio, he didn't just come off from behind stage. All the lights remained on in the arena, and I was on the delegate floor. Nobody knew exactly what was going on. All the lights stayed on. Mitt Romney was somewhere on the delegate floor walking up that red carpet, slowly shaking hands with people. But no one really knew where he was. I thought they should have put a spotlight on him. But basically in Tampa, you saw a wide open delegate floor. So all the different delegates from the various states were right there. Here inside the arena, here in Charlotte, most of the delegates are on sort of the upper bowls of the arena. The floor is much smaller, and the arena looks like it's going to be much darker. So the focus, I think, instead of being on the whole atmosphere, will probably be on the speaker on that podium.
Yeah, so it's really going to be more of like a concert feel than like a trade show feel.
I would say that's definitely right. Though the trade show element is alive and well inside the convention center here, where there are fresh lemonade stands and local items. There's local North Carolina cotton clothing for sale. A few of my colleagues just came back from there. They said it does feel like a carnival in a very good way, whereas the media area at the RNC was very functional and had lots of private workspaces. You can see here behind me all these compact fluorescent light lamps that are on these tables. All the media workspaces are wide open, allowing people, basically to communicate across the table instead of having dividers between every workspace.
What was the scene with Occupy or other protesters at the RNC, and what are you seeing so far in Charlotte?
There was a protest yesterday which was branded as Occupy Wall Street South. South because here in Charlotte, Wells Fargo and Bank of America have their southern headquarters, and both those buildings the towers that they own here in Charlotte are the main skyscrapers. The protest was billed as being 2,000 to 10,000 people. Estimates from the police said of about 800, so a little smaller than expected.
Right.
And the groups that were mostly represented were not just strictly Occupy people or people who were even targeting Bank of America or Wells Fargo, but people who were actually, the vast majority of the people in that crowd were immigration supporters, people who are in favor of the DREAM Act and want to see more action on immigration.
Okay, now get us up to speed on, there was this controversy over the name of the facility where the DNC is being held in Bank of America and how it's kind of been rebranded. Is it Panther Stadium now? There's the references to Bank of America are gone?
Right. This is a Bank of America town, and tons of things are labeled Bank of America. Not the stadium in the Obama campaign emails, who refer to it as everything from Panther Stadium, which I've looked up, it has never been called, even before it had a corporate sponsor, and sometimes just the football stadium or the stadium. So they're not want to make a strong correlation between the corporate sponsor that so many people, not just in the Occupy movement, but generally a lot of people in the 99% are upset with Bank of America's practices, but you're not going to see that on any ticket stubs or on any Obama programming this week.
Okay, and real quick, who's speaking tonight? And I'm understanding we're not really getting day-to-day schedules until 10 p.m. the night before?
Right, so yeah, we're not going to know until 10 p.m. They just announced that at a press conference. We know generally who some of the major speakers are, but I think the Democrats are going to be a little bit tight-lipped about exactly when they're going to be coming on stage. They've maybe taken the ball away from the Republicans, who are always on top of their messaging and always on top of slotting in the right speakers at the right times. They had maybe some difficulties last week with their messaging. The Obama campaign going to keep it all internal and just reveal it on primetime.
And do we know who's the big speaker tonight?
Well, tomorrow night, when things officially get started, tonight's an off day, essentially. Tomorrow night.
It is. Okay, so actually, this one was, unlike the RNC, which was planned to start Tuesday, or which was not planned to start Tuesday and happened because of the weather, this one really just isn't getting going till tomorrow.
That's correct. The Democrats had always intended just to have sort of an abbreviated 3-day convention, shorter than the Republicans. So they'll get their 1 hour of primetime television coverage every night. The Republicans weren't going to get that on their Monday session. The Democrats, 3 days, 1 hour of primetime each, and the primetime speaker tomorrow is Michelle Obama.
Okay, excellent stuff. Luke Vargas, Talk Radio News Service in Charlotte. We'll check in with you tomorrow and see how things are looking.
See you then.
Let's talk about one of the myths, which, of course, Republicans have been very, very actively pushing about President Obama. That is the myth that President Obama is a big, big spender. Now, according to a new article in Forbes, not exactly a liberal rag, I guess it's just numbers. Numbers can be liberally biased. It turns out that President Obama is the smallest government spender since President Eisenhower. So this is in the middle of all these cries about Obama's a big spender, the nation's suffering because of it. MarketWatch is reporting that President Obama has been tighter with dollars than any U.S. president since Dwight D. Eisenhower. So how exactly is it that Republicans are persuading Americans to buy into the Obama big spender narrative, Lewis? What do you think is going on?
I don't know. Well, every president increases spending, right?
The point is, has the rate of increase slowed or increased or declined? Here's the issue, actually. It's something else. The first year of the Obama presidency, where the federal budget increased 17.9% from about $3 trillion to $3.5 trillion, you probably think that that's the result of the stimulus. Incorrect. Nothing to do with the stimulus. The first year of any incoming president is saddled, for better or worse, with the budget set by the previous president, okay? That budget was voted on and set by President Bush, and then it was enacted during President Obama's first term. Now, if we correctly only look at the budgets set by presidents, okay, the numbers are far different. And as you can see in this chart, Lewis, Ronald Reagan, 8.7% annualized growth. Reagan's second term, about 5%. You see Bush 1, Clinton's 2 terms, Bush's 2 terms. And look at President Obama there, 1.4% annualized growth of federal spending. Unbelievable that we are seeing, and I'm not surprised. We know that the Republicans have to count on lies and misdirection and misleading numbers in order to make any of these claims against President Obama, and they're just not true. The problem is you have to be armed with the facts, because otherwise you'll be bamboozled, as the Republicans want you to be, into believing the talking points. That's the challenge, Lewis.
That is. It's always a numbers game.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's take a break. Facebook.com/David Pakman Show. Please like us on Facebook. We are live on YouTube Monday through Thursday, 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Hi to everyone watching on the live stream. And of course, welcome to everybody from the Young Turks who's watching and from the We Survive Bush, You'll Survive Obama page. We'll take a break. Stay tuned. Plenty more coming up.
The David Pakman Show at davidpakman.com. Welcome back to the David Pakman Show.
Please take a second to donate your Twitter or Facebook accounts through donateyouraccount.com/David Pakman Show. It's a quick, free, and easy way to help support the David Pakman Show. Murray energy miners are saying they had to give up pay to attend a mandatory Mitt Romney rally. This is unbelievable. Earlier this month, Mitt Romney was welcomed at a campaign event in Century Mine, in Bealsville, Ohio, by hundreds of coal workers and their families. Now, many of the mine's workers are saying they were forced to give up a day's worth of pay to attend the event, and that they feared they might be fired if they didn't because it was called mandatory. Now, the claims were basically denied by Rob Moore, who's the CFO of Murray Energy Company, who owns the mine. The incredible thing is this. He acknowledges that the workers weren't paid. He says no one was made to attend the event. Kind of. He says it was a mandatory event, but people weren't forced to go. What does that mean? That they weren't physically forced to go? Like they weren't physically dragged there? Let's listen to the interview he did on WWVA. This is just audio. Explain this to me, Lewis. I don't get it. Let's take a listen.
Here, right. Let me ask you this. Were workers forced to attend this event?
Right.
David, there were no workers that were forced to attend the event. We had managers that communicated to our workforce that the attendance at the Romney event was mandatory, but no one was forced to attend the event. We had a pre-registration list. Employees were asked to put their name on a pre-registration list because they could not get into the event unless they were pre-registered and had a name tag to enter the premises.
Okay, and then of course the registration list is also connected to the fact that people who did not attend were then reprimanded or put on certain lists. So explain that to me. You are not forced to go, but it is mandatory. Now, this is a company with a long history of donating close to a ton of money, $900,000, for example, to Republican candidates in the last 2 years, et cetera, et cetera. What does mandatory but not forced mean?
Well, I think they mean physically forced.
Right. No one was tied up and dragged to the event. They were just threatened with the implicit loss of their livelihood through their jobs.
Right.
So they weren't forced. Of course not.
No.
Perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Mandatory plus not forced is a lie, okay? I mean, seriously, everyone here has internet access. Look up the definition for mandatory, and it's a synonym for required. Required, okay? You'd think they would at least pay the people that they forced to go to a rally in support of Mitt Romney.
They probably just used all the money from that day to donate to the campaign.
How do these right-wingers dare call Obama Marxist? I mean, this order of going to this thing for no pay is straight out of the communist country playbook, right? Mandatory attendance without pay, yet for some reason it's President Obama who's the communist.
I just want to make one point there. Based on just what Dave's old economics professor Richard Wolff would say about this, the communist idea of controlling everyone in the business, for example, has nothing to do with Karl Marx at all. So let's not use the word Marxist to describe anything related to that. I think David agrees.
I'm saying it's the right-wingers who are saying Obama's a Marxist.
That's right, but I'm saying even that's incorrect. Even the comparison between Marx and communism is incorrect.
Absolutely, no question. But that's a separate conversation. But a welcome aside from TV director Gautam. Putting aside, though, the absurd mandatory but not forced thing, if the miners had a fear of reprisal of any kind, then it is coercion from the legal employment standpoint. Putting aside this dumb, well, it was mandatory but they weren't coerced. Let's just put that aside. It doesn't make a difference.
So will we see any lawsuits here by civil rights groups?
Probably not.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's too bad.
Okay, Mitt Romney blockbusters. Number one, Mitt Romney caught on tape lying about millions of dollars. There's a video, okay, which is it was secretly recorded by Democratic opponents of Mitt Romney on October 16th of 2002. It shows him addressing a group called the New Bedford Industrial Revolution. The PowerPoint presentation he uses lists ways to improve economic development here in Massachusetts, including boost federal involvement. Now, you're going to hear and see two things here. The first is of him talking about how they got all sorts of money when he was heading up the Utah Olympics Committee for a number of different things. And then after that, you'll see video of him from a presidential debate very recently saying how that is not something that he did. Direct contradiction. Mitt Romney is lying. He is a liar. That's just it. This is not equivocations. This is not political misdirection. He is just telling flat out lies, ladies and gentlemen. You've got to wake up and see it. Here's the video.
Just 2 weeks ago, Romney suggested that under his leadership, the 2002 Salt Lake City Olympics got no more taxpayer money than previous games.
In the history of the Olympic movement, the federal government has always provided the transportation and security. So we came to the federal government asking for help on transportation and security.
But in this video, he talks about getting all kinds of money.
We actually received over $410 million from the federal government for the Olympic Games. That is a huge increase over anything ever done before. We did that by going after every agency of government.
He even boasts about getting money for the Olympics from the Department of Education. That's right, the Department of Education.
I believe the number was over $1 million of Department of Education funding to buy tickets for kids. This way, we got kids there. We also got additional revenues that we wouldn't have had.
Unbelievable. Ladies and gentlemen, you've got to wake up. This guy's lying to your face. He just said a couple weeks ago in these debates, I never got anything more than transportation and security. That's all we ever get from the government for the Olympics. And then he's laughing. He's joking around about, look at this, we got the Department of Education to buy tickets for children to the Olympics, which boosted our revenue. He's lying to you, ladies and gentlemen. Millions of dollars. If this guy lies about this, what is he going to do as president? More lies. This is a dishonest man. He should not be president, plain and simple. It's just lies. There's no equivocation here, Lewis. It's just like he's a liar.
Well, I mean, years of flip-flop after flip-flop.
That's right, but that's the thing. This is not flip-flopping. This is just flat-out lying. Changing your position on abortion, ostensibly, could happen because you learned something or there's more information out there. These are just lies. He gave a presentation where he said they did X and got money for X, and then in a debate he said that didn't happen. Is there anything that could be equivocated or explained away here, Natan?
No. I mean, the only thing I can think of is that maybe Republican voters like the idea of scamming the government out of funds. Maybe somehow they view the idea of being given those funds willingly by the government or scamming them as two different things.
Now, that's a good point. Maybe Republicans who want to kill the government actually like the idea of Mitt Romney literally scamming the government out of funds and then lying about it.
The president scamming the government out of money?
Unbelievable. And let's take it up a notch, okay? Tim Dickinson at Rolling Stone has another blockbuster about Willard Middleton Romney. He and his time at Bain Capital, as we know, were very, very concerning. And now there's information in an article called The Federal Bailout that saved Mitt Romney. Government documents now prove that his entire "we built it, I built Bain Capital" meme is completely bogus. Rolling Stone is pointing out that Mitt Romney, he won't apologize for his success in business. It turns out, though, that he didn't really build it himself. Government documents obtained by Rolling Stone show that the legend crafted by Romney about "we built it" and he went in there and he did great things at Bain is a lie. The federal records obtained under the Freedom of Information Act reveal that Mitt Romney's initial rescue attempt at Bain & Company, which is a subsidiary of Bain Capital, was a disaster, leaving them so financially strapped that it, quote, had no value as a going concern. Even worse, the federal bailout ultimately engineered by Romney screwed the FDIC, the bank insurance system that is backed by taxpayers, out of at least $10 million. As an added insult, Romney rewarded top executives at Bain with hefty bonuses at the exact moment that he was demanding this handout from the feds. Okay, now what's the defense? People will say, well, listen, it's not really a bailout. It was a restructuring of debt by the FDIC that did end up costing a government agency millions of dollars. It's a government agency. Ultimately, however you want to splice and dice where specific government agencies are funded, it is taxpayer money. It's the government. Mitt Romney's Bain Capital was involved in being saved by millions of dollars from the FDIC, a bailout from the FDIC. And you know what? It's okay. Sometimes the government does this. But don't run on that BS theory, Lewis, that they built everything and they don't need the government involved in private business and get the government out and Obama's a socialist and blah, blah, blah.
We can just go back to what Obama said about government involvement in businesses.
This is a fundamentally dishonest person. Bain Capital, bailed out by the government. Mitt Romney built it. Give me a break. I mean, it's disgusting, the level of lies that we're seeing from this candidate now, and it's all coming out day after day. It's more and more layers. Do you want this liar, I mean literally a liar, being the president of the United States? Why
I think
would
we're
he
going to see a lot
lying?
more of this. I think we're going to see a lot more. I think this is why Mitt Romney can't win.
Why lie? Or rather, why do you think people aren't going to uncover this stuff? It's unbelievable. Let's take a break. It's literally shocking. I mean, I'm disgusted by this guy.
I can see that.
Let's take a break. A few more stories I want to talk about after the break. Stay tuned.
The David Pakman Show at davidpakman.com. The David Pakman Show at davidpakman.com.
All right, welcome back to the David Pakman Show. The David Pakman Show is primarily supported by individual memberships. During DNC week, we're giving away a free t-shirt with any yearly membership. You can find out more at davidpakman.com/DNC. Lewis, if you believe in legal and safe abortion, do you believe in a second count of murder if a pregnant woman is killed? Now, before you answer, emotion might say yes. Charge the killer with as much as possible. However, what is really the determining factor here? I mean, is it the point whether people who, the obvious inconsistency that the right-wingers want to catch progressives in with this is saying, well, listen, if you think that abortion's okay, but you think that a pregnant woman who is murdered means that really two people were killed, then by definition you are saying that the fetus is a life. And then, of course, you might open up a door about, well, how far along was the baby, so on and so forth. I actually don't think that's really the relevant point. I think the relevant point is that the woman didn't get to make the choice, right? So if you are pro-choice, you have eliminated the woman's opportunity to make that choice. And as such, I think regardless of how far along the woman is, it would be okay to, I could make the argument that 2 counts of murder are appropriate. What do you think?
Yeah, that does make sense. I would say, I don't know, if that didn't fly, you could argue intent. Did the woman intend to carry the child to term, have it? I mean, I don't know. It seems like there'd be a lot of gray area there, but...
Well, the other one that people threw in, another possibility here, is does the person doing the killing know the woman is pregnant? Or in other words, did they kill her in order to prevent that baby from being born? Did they throw her down the stairs, as we have heard so many horrible domestic violence stories, with the hope that she would miscarry? Or was the shooting or the killing in connection with a crime that had nothing to do with her being pregnant? In that case, certainly we could at least look at manslaughter versus murder, but that's more of a legal thing. I think we're talking more philosophically.
Right. Yeah, I mean, obviously, if someone kills a pregnant woman and doesn't realize she's pregnant, it would probably be murder and manslaughter for the unborn child, something like that. But
now the other question to think about also, though, Lewis, is what if there's something that happens where the mom stays alive, but the baby doesn't because of a gunshot? You know, hypothetically, a gunshot to the stomach, throw down the stairs, whatever. What about that? Is that murder? Does it also depend on whether there was intent to kill the child? Is it manslaughter? What do you think about this, Natan? Can we hear Natan? I'm not sure if his mic is on.
No.
Yeah, you can hear me now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. This is a pretty tough issue. Overall, I guess, are there different laws going state by state on this?
I'm not totally sure about that.
Yeah, we'd have to look at that philosophically. I mean, it probably just depends on what the criminal knew about the pregnant woman and the reason why he killed her, like you guys are saying.
Send me your thoughts on this one. I think this is going to be an interesting one. Another quick story before we get to your voicemails. David Pakman, 60 years old, a self-described conservative man who is, quote, obsessed with Fox News and the Republican Party, was arrested in Florida for trying to strangle his girlfriend because she's liberal. This is a disturbing story, and the police report says he was very conservative and his girlfriend was a liberal. He felt that he was going to have to kill her and noted that it was his third attempt to kill her. What do you think of this, Lewis?
Third attempt. Wow, guess third time is not the charm. Or
Yeah.
maybe it is, because this time he got arrested.
Which makes me wonder why the woman was still around. Apparently, Kapheim showed
They
up.
must have had really great political debates.
The girlfriend was at her friend's house. Kapheim showed up uninvited and, quote, stark naked, according to the arrest report. She said he tried strangling her the next day. The couple did live together, Lewis, but she had asked him to move out. On Tuesday, Kapheim asked to borrow the car so he could move his stuff out. The woman agreed, but asked him to drive her to work first, and throughout the ride, apparently, Kapheim was driving recklessly. That's a quote from the police report. When the woman asked him not to kill her, he allegedly responded by laughing out loud. Sounds like a reasonable guy. It does bring up questions of, like, how did this relationship even get going if the political differences were going to be such an issue? But that's kind of like a logical question. I don't think anyone who's willing
Perhaps
to strangle...
they're both crazy.
I don't think anyone who's willing to strangle their girlfriend because she's liberal is really the type of person where we can apply logic and say, let's see if we can deduce from logic what exactly was going on here.
Right. We can throw logic out the window.
Disturbing story nonetheless. Trying to kill your girlfriend because she's liberal, you might have to kill her.
All right.
Couple voicemails about the Clint Eastwood debacle at the Republican National Convention. Our voicemail line is open 24 hours a day, 219-2-DAVID-P. 219-2-DAVID-P. Here's the first one.
Hey, guys, great show. Hey, I wanted to say that I found as disturbing as you did the Clint Eastwood rambling at the RNC convention, you know, the Republican National Convention. Mostly because not only did he destroy his own brand as an American icon, everything he said was self-refuting. This was extremely upsetting to me because he's a very intelligent person. Okay, at least he was till he reached the age of 82, and now he'll say, here's why this is self-refuting. Obama didn't create 23 million jobs yet. The whole Republican Party's mantra is government shouldn't get involved in creating jobs. It's not.
It's a very good point. But the thing is, this doesn't just apply to Clint Eastwood. This was the entire RNC was self-refuting and contradictory. This entire campaign has been self-refuting and contradictory. Have people not noticing that?
That has been the theme. Yeah.
All right, and one more voicemail on Clint Eastwood.
Hi, David, Liz, and Natan. This is Rose from Boise, Idaho, and I was just going to call and ask what you thought of the Clint Eastwood surprise appearance at the RNC. I was surprised to see him there because I just recently saw something on Facebook about how he was supporting gay rights, or not gay rights, but gay marriage, and I was frankly really surprised to see him there. And so I don't know if you all have done any kind of piece on Clint Eastwood talking about same-sex marriage. And
right, we haven't actually done a full thing about, because really we don't care what Clint Eastwood thinks about same-sex marriage.
No, this is a good point. I think this is a good point. I know that Clint Eastwood, as far as I know, he's pro-choice, he's pro-gay marriage, and he's just a fiscal conservative, which, like the caller is saying, begs the question, why is he even at the RNC given the party's current state?
That's exactly right. So regardless, it's very common that you have people who support specific Republicans in theory, or Republicans even broadly in elections, but they don't actually really agree with the things in the Republican Party platform, which now include a very strong anti-gay stance. So really, in every sense, in the sense we discussed at the beginning of the show, and in these senses, Clint Eastwood's entire appearance at the Republican National Convention was contradictory and self-refuting in the ways that both the first caller said and in this way. I mean, in every way, it just made absolutely no sense. That's the bottom line.
With regard to how you align yourself, I mean, it depends on how you prioritize things. If fiscal issues are the number one thing for you and you happen to align with Republicans on that, well, if that's 80% of what you deem to be important, you're going to vote Republican.
No question about it. All right, tomorrow we will start with live coverage from the Democratic National Convention in Charlotte. We are also giving away free t-shirts with David Pakman Show yearly memberships, davidpakman.com/DNC. This is the time to sign up. Get yourself a nice t-shirt. We'll talk to you tomorrow afternoon.
The David Pakman Show at davidpakman.com.